Hi everyone, my name is Mike Tomorrow, and I am an adult with autism. And this presentation is about driving and traveling with autism, adventures with an autism self-advocate. This presentation is done in July of 2022. So if you're viewing this later on and some of the stuff might be updated by when you watch it, so that's my disclaimer there. And then I also have a podcast with the podcast episode with this presentation, so you can view it there too. And this is by me. That's me. That's Mike Tomorrow, and I'm an autism self-advocate. And you can see my picture there with the Louisiana Welcome Center. All right, housekeeping rules. This does not really apply to you guys since you guys are watching it on my YouTube, but you can respond. I'll have my contact information at the end so that you can contact me that way. I also have Facebook and LinkedIn, so you can contact me there and all that. So please feel free to send your questions my way and I'll try to answer them the best that I can. About me, I'm an Autism Speaks volunteer advocacy ambassador for Florida District 7 and Massachusetts District 1. Now, this is going to be a district where Florida District 7 is going to be redistricted, and next year will be Florida District 10. And then we have Massachusetts District 1, which is my hometown district. And I grew up with this person as my member of Congress for 30 years. So, you know, I got to keep loyal to my member of Congress, my hometown, you know. I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 22. But here's a funny story I gotta tell you. When I was 8 years old, one of my teachers observed me with having autism. And I wasn't officially diagnosed until the age of 22, but saw the criteria and all that of having autism. And it was a long road to try to figure out if what I had, if it was autism or what, you know? But I'm glad that I finally have a diagnosis and finally glad I know what it is. I'm currently 38 years old. I am a member of the Pioneer Valley Chapter 8 of North American Family Campers Association, which is NAFCA. I have a bachelor's degree from Westfield State University in Massachusetts. I am originally from Agawam, Massachusetts. And the funny fact about that is, if you're doing trivia or trivia night, the lowest zip code in the United States, in the 50 states, happens to be in Agawam, which that zip code is 01001. So you can use it as a trivia question if you want. Now I live in Orlando, Florida. I've been camping and traveling since I was 3 months old because I have been life with a family that loves to go camping and traveling, and I just got the hang of it and do enjoy going all over the place, everything else. Mostly when I was with my parents, we'd go up and down the East Coast. I'll share my travels throughout this presentation. I'm currently an Uber Eats driver, and I have completed Uber Eats deliveries in 26 states plus Washington, D.C. And you're going to learn more about my mission later on in this presentation. I've been a licensed driver for just over 20 years. I have been to 30 states plus Washington, D.C. I have been to Ontario and Quebec in Canada. And you're going to view my map of the states I've been to later on in this presentation. Now, I am an Autism Speaks volunteer advocacy ambassador. What is that? It is a position, a volunteer position in you go and you meet with a member of Congress and you talk with them about laws and everything else about with autism, and you see try to persuade them to sign on laws that benefit people with autism. The photo on the left is my Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy. Unfortunately, she's going to be retiring at the end of this term, so we're going to be having a new member of Congress for my current district here in Florida. And with redistricting anyways, we're going to have a new one anyways. On the right is Massachusetts District 1 Congressman Richard Neal. He's been a congressman since the 1980s, around the time, So most of my life, Richard Neal has been my member of Congress, and I represent that district too because there's no one else that covers that district. And since it's my hometown district and I have family and friends still up in Massachusetts, I signed on to do that district too. And I have pretty good relationships with both members of Congress, working relationships, that is. And if you want to learn more about the Volunteer Advocacy Ambassador Program, just log into the Autism Speaks website and you can learn more. All right. Oh, the places you'll go. That was said by Dr. Seuss, which is a native of Springfield, Massachusetts. It's a book and a nice quote. Speaking of Springfield, that is my hometown city area. And they have a Dr. Seuss museum with the sculpture garden of all of his characters. And if you're into basketball, I also highly recommend you attending the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield. Okay, next one. Munchkin would like to know where you would like to go to. You see, if you're wondering who is Munchkin, okay, she is a cat that my parents own. And Munchkin is driving the RV on the left. You can see her sitting in the driver's seat, wanting to drive the RV. Now, on the right, you have her on top of the cabinets with the sign that says Paradise and the lighthouses. And you can see her right there, uh, hiding up there. And that was actually taken at my parents' vacation rental in Key West, or in the Florida Keys. Some popular places for people to go to. You have Florida, you have California, you have Texas, you have New York, you have New England, you have Alaska, you have Hawaii, you have Canada, you have Mexico, you have Puerto Rico, you have the Caribbean, you have the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Germany, China, Japan, Australia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle. There's plenty of places to go and travel. Now, the photo on the right here happens to be the largest number, the highest number, exit number in all of North America. That's exit 880 off of I-10 in Orange, Texas, which is the highest number in all of North America. And mile marker 880 is also the highest number mile marker too. And here's a fact about Texas and I-10, a quick fact. It is closer for the eastern part of Texas, which is orange, to Jacksonville, Florida, where it ends, than it is to the other end of the state of Texas near El Paso. And I-10, the western end of that, it is closer, and I-10 in El Paso is closer to the western end in Santa Monica, California, to uh, than it is to Orange on the eastern end of Texas. Interesting to know. I just wanted to share that fact with you. How many states have you been to? Think about it. And while you think about it, I'll tell you what these pictures are. I have the picture on the left is from the Balloon Fiesta in New Mexico. And I went out to Albuquerque. And then in the middle was where we actually went camping for the Balloon Fiesta in the beautiful sunrise. And then on the right, if you're an alien lover, you'll love Roswell. Um, so those are the places I've been to, or some of the places. Now, here's the states I've been to. I haven't updated this map per se, but I have been this year, been up and down from Massachusetts to Florida, and I've been to Washington, D.C. this year also. I just haven't had the time to update it. Now, with the exception of those states, the rest of the states in red, I've been to last year. So New Mexico, I went last year, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, all these. And all in New England too. Now, Michigan, I haven't been in like 3 years. Illinois was only for a layover. Alaska, we took an RV and rented an RV and went across the state for 2 weeks. That was a wonderful trip. And I did that with my parents. So we got to see a lot of Alaska. And I also been to Nebraska and Iowa. I had a conference in Omaha, and my driver, when he brought me back to the airport, took me into a little bit of Iowa that's on the western end of the river, on the Nebraska side of the river. So technically, I've been to Iowa. How to travel? Um, Everyone has 2 feet, but if you're able to, you can walk or run or jog or whatever. But if you're not able to do that, you can drive. And I know everyone can't walk. I should add that. Here's, but the next category is driving. And we have a car, RV, truck, whatever. And then by bicycle or motorcycle, scooter. And then you have by bus. Yeah, I know a friend that travels by bus. And there's train. Like you have the subway in the metro areas, and then you have trains, Amtrak that goes across the country, and then airplane. You have airports that you go to and you fly to and from, and then you have boat, which could be a cruise boat or any type of boat. Why do you travel? Do you travel for vacation? Do you travel for work? Do you travel for camping? Do you travel for pleasure? Do you travel for business? Do you run errands? Do you have doctor appointments? Visit family? Holidays? Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Canada Day, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, all the major holidays. And then you have ceremonies, which are weddings, funerals, birthdays, birth of the new baby, or bar mitzvah, or any other family events that you got to be at, or friends events. Driving. I've been driving since I was 17 years old in 2001. I had to learn how to drive so that I could drive, so I could go to the high school I was going to 25 miles from my house where I grew up. And the reason why I went to high school 25 miles away from my house, I'll tell you quickly, was because my mother got a position as a school lunch director. And I ended up going to high school where she had the position. And in in my sophomore year, towards the end of it, my mom got a position at another school district. So here's the thing: for like 7 months or so, we we traveled from our house to this high school where I went to school. Dropped me off, and then she went to work at her district. And then afterwards, she would get off of work, drive over to the school, pick me up, and we go home. To relieve that, I learned how to drive. And I was able to know how to drive, so I was able to get a license. And to this day, I feel that it helped me out a whole lot and got me to where I am. I have completed long distance trips between Springfield, Mass. And Orlando, Florida numerous times in my life, and I can handle long distances. And I have also done road trips like out to Ohio and Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, and all that region. And I had a fun time doing that, seeing new sights. And then I also have gone long distance road trips with my parents and my sister growing up in their RV. And like I said, we are a camping loving family, traveling family. So we go camping up and down the East Coast and wherever. The pros of driving: you can have the freedom to go anywhere you want at any time that you want to. So you don't have to worry about waiting for a schedule or whatever. That's actually my next point. You don't have to rely on schedules unless you already made plans which are time sensitive. So you don't have to worry about bus schedules or train schedules or flights or whatever. And then you can fuel up whenever and wherever you want. So like if you like a certain brand of gas, you can fill it up at wherever you want. And then you can eat whenever and wherever you want. That too. You can eat at any restaurants you want, or quick service restaurants, or fast food, or if you want a sit down meal or whatever. You know, and then you can also stop for the night at hotels or RV parks or friends or family house, whenever and wherever you want to. And then you get to pick the way that you want to go to on the roads that you want to travel on. Like, I may want to go this way to get up to Massachusetts, and my parents might want to go a different way. That's fine. We can all have different things and different ways we get there. You know, you pick the radio that you want to listen to, whether it's music, talk shows, news, sports, or you can have it quiet in the car. And then you also get to pick the temperature in the car. So, like, if you need the AC or the heater, or if it's a nice day out, you can roll down the windows and get some fresh air and all that. Now, we talked about the pros. Here's the cons: you have time deadlines, you have schedules, you might be late for work. That's why you got to leave early enough. Fearing that something could happen with the car while traveling. Yep, a car could break down, there could be an accident, you could run out of gas. There's numerous things. Getting stuck in rush hour traffic. And I can tell you, there's a few places that I know that it's terrible to sit in rush hour traffic. New York City, Boston, south of Washington, D.C. during the PM rush hour, Orlando, Miami, Tampa, pretty much any major city. And I'm fearing that you're going to run out of patience too and run out of gas. And then needing to go to the restroom. Not knowing where the nearest stop will be. Driving in the dark. Yeah, I know that some people don't like driving in the dark. And for half of the year almost, it's dark towards the evening time. And then getting cramps for sitting too long in the car, especially if you're on a road trip or if you've been sitting in the car for a while and all that. Good driving tips. Driving to work, leave as early as you can, especially since you do not know what you will run into that will make you late for work. I have talked about this on the previous slide, but I'm going to talk about it here too because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if there's going to be an accident. You never know if there's going to be lots of people on the roads or tie-ups or if your car breaks down or if you're going to need gas while driving and all that. Driving on a road trip, if you can, figure out the best times to travel through cities to avoid rush hours if you can, especially in the larger cities. And I spoke about this on the last slide too. But it is something that we all deal with in life. And I told you guys already that on the other slide that some of the cities to avoid are especially New York, Boston, south of DC, Orlando, Tampa, Miami. All those times is like crazy. And also, I forgot to mention around Disney World. It's terrible around I-4 around rush hour too, because everybody's trying to get to Disney or everybody's trying to leave Disney. Make sure you have a full tank of gas before leaving. That way, you'll be good to go. You'll have a full tank of gas. You don't have to worry about stopping for gas until you're like down the road, and you don't have to worry about filling it up right away. Make sure that you have your transponder full of money or you have cash on hand for tolls. This is especially true for if you're traveling on 95 through New York and New Jersey through the Turnpike, Delaware, Maryland, um, and then also on Interstate 90 from most of it from Chicago to Boston is tolled. So you got to make sure you have the money to drive on it. And then you also have the Pennsylvania Turnpike and all the toll roads down here in Florida. I do recommend that you get the Uni Pass, which is a pass for that you can use here in Florida, which is run by the Central Florida Expressway Authority, which you can use in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and then all the other states that accept the Easy Pass system from Maine to Minnesota. And then make sure you also use the restroom before leaving the house. Yes, that is whether you are driving to work, driving to an appointment, driving on the road trip, whatever. See, that way you don't have to worry about stopping until later on. Get comfortable with the car before driving it. Like, do a test drive. Make sure the car is okay. Make sure that, you get situated and familiar with the car. Because if you don't know how to drive the car or the vehicle, and it then sounds strange or something, it's like what to do. So get very comfortable with the car before going on the road trip. Make sure that the position is of everything's okay, like the radio and GPS, um, the seat, the lights. Get seated comfortably too. Adjust the temperature. Like if you want to have heat or AC or roll down the windows or whatever. Make sure that all the snow and ice is off the car. If you live in Florida, that is something you don't have to worry about doing. And pretty much in the southern part of this country. But if you live in an area that you get winter weather like snow and ice and sleet and freezing rain, make sure you clear that snow and ice off the car. Because there are laws up in those states where if you don't and the cop pulls you over, he can ticket you. And then what makes it worse is, here's the thing too. If a piece of that snow or ice or whatever flies off of the vehicle and hits the vehicle behind you, or if you get hit from the vehicle in front of you, that could cause damage to your vehicle. And I've seen news stories about this where people actually had pieces of ice flown from their vehicle and hit the windshield of the vehicle behind them. You got to make sure that it's all clear because you don't want to worry about people getting killed or whatever because you didn't clear the car. And oddly enough, I had a snowstorm when I was up in Mass. And the night before that snowstorm, I bought a snow brush, and now I keep that in my car so that when I do drive in the snow, I'll have it with me. And then also make sure that you're buckled up because there are state laws. In most of the states, you have click it or ticket, which means if a cop sees you and if you're not buckled up, he can pull you over and give you a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt. Make sure that your GPS is set, meaning pre-program your GPS before going, and don't do it while driving because it distracts you. So, and then sometimes the GPS will, if you're going on a long trip, it'll let you know what's coming up or whatever if you want to stop or whatever, or you can stop in like 30 minutes or whatever. It'll keep you updated with what's going on too. Make sure the radio is set before leaving, like preset the radio stations while you're parked. Don't do it while driving. Make sure that your phone is placed in a holder or somewhere out of view of the driver's seat, which means don't use it while driving. Don't use a handheld phone while driving because if you do and the cop sees you, he can pull you over. And there are states now where it's illegal to use a phone while driving. Make sure that yeah, I already said that. And if you're traveling to Canada or Mexico, please make sure that you include your passport with you or your passport card so that you can get into Canada and Mexico and then back into the United States afterwards. You know, driving do's. Buckle up with that seatbelt. Follow the speed limit and other signs. Follow construction signs. Keep your eyes on the road. That's the most important tip because if you do not keep your eyes on the road, if you look on your phone or playing around with the radio or looking off distance or something, you could actually, that minute could actually change you, or that second could actually change you because if you're not paying attention, you could be hitting that car. You could be in an accident and not know it. Set the phone with Bluetooth in the car. There's cars now that have Bluetooth in it, and you can set the phone with it, so you don't have to hold your phone on your ear and talk on the phone that way because that's a little distracting. And most these days, the cars do come with Bluetooth, and you can use the radio speakers to talk on the phone and all that. And there's also speakerphone. But I highly recommend Bluetooth over speakerphone, as the speakerphone option could get you a ticket with the police if they see you, whereas the Bluetooth setting would not cost it. Listen to the radio at a reasonable volume, meaning you got to have a reasonable volume so that you don't bother the cars near you, or so you can hear the sirens that are going on and see the lights of the emergency vehicles, and pay attention and whatever else. I highly recommend you do not drive with the radio on when you're beginning to learn how to drive, but when you have experience enough, then you can have the music on. Sometimes I do turn up the radio up so I could hear like one of my favorite songs that's playing or whatever else, and I do that quite a bit, and then turn it down so you can pay attention to the road. Yeah. Allow enough space for you and the drivers around you. Yes, you don't want to tailgate anyone, and you don't want to put your brakes on suddenly, where the next car behind you could ram into you and rear end you. That would not be good. Use those turn signals and headlights. Yes, I have seen people drive and not use their turn signals, and that is kind of rude. Because here's the thing, how are we supposed to know that you're going to be turning? We don't know if you're going to be turning. I don't know. It's like, we don't know why you're stopped. Why are you stopped? And if you don't use your turn signal, it's like, why are we stopping? And then headlights, that's one of the important things, because I've seen people drive at night and not have their lights on, especially their backlights. They may have their headlights on, but not their backlights. Some cars these days have daytime running lights and nighttime running lights. When you're driving at night, make sure you have the nighttime running lights on, which includes all the lights in the car, you know, because you don't want to be driving in the dark. And the next thing you know, you don't see that car in front of you with the lights not on and hit them. It's common sense. And then use those windshield wipers to help you out with the weather. They're a good tool to use. And use the defroster and everything else. Okay, driving don'ts. Don't text while driving. Don't use your phone while driving. And this is the handheld and all that. Because there's a good chance that a cop will see you and pull you over if it's law in that place. In our states that are where it's illegal to use your phone while driving, unless it's on a Bluetooth. Speeding. Don't speed. Because if you go way too fast, the cops are going to pull you over and ticket you. And that will not be a good sight to see. Tailgating. Don't tailgate, because if the people in front of you have to stop suddenly and you don't see it, you could rear end them and it won't be fun. Drinking and driving. Yes, this is a big one, because if you drink alcohol and then drive, it could impair you where you cannot stay focused on the road and you cannot drink and drive, and your mental thing is going on, and drinking and driving can lead you to suspension of your license. It can lead you to an arrest. It can lead you to jail time. It can lead you to money and court costs and everything else. And it could be on your record. So please don't drink and drive. And if you do drink and drive, and you could cause an accident, kill someone. Don't want that to happen. Driving tired. which means if you're feeling tired or drowsy, pull over at the next rest area or get off the next exit and pull into a parking lot of a gas station or a restaurant or something. Take a nap, and then you'll be fine. The road will be there when you are ready to go, and it'll be fine. Making turns without a turn signal, like I said before, this is dangerous. For people to make turns or uh, go into different lanes without using a turn signal, it's like if you don't use a turn signal to do that, and if you're in front of someone that just cut you off, it's like, come on now. You can't. You gotta let people know that you're gonna be going in that lane. And then driving in the dark without your lights on, that is way too dangerous. You cannot be driving in the dark without your lights. And like I said before, you know, you gotta have those nighttime lights on, where the front lights and the back lights are on. Drag racing. Don't race while driving. It's not a competition to see who gets there first and all that. It's just you cannot drag race. Do not travel in areas that you do not belong. This means some places that are private property, um, like government bases, or there might be a no trespassing sign or whatever else. And that is not a place that you need to be in. And then having the radio too loud. Like you keep hearing the boom, 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 the bass and all that from people that have it in their cars. And that is something that could distract you, and you don't want to lose your hearing because of the loud booming sounds from your bass. And you got to pay attention too, because what if a police siren comes up, or you don't see the police lights and there's siren, and you got to pay attention to that. Also, do not wear headphones while driving or earphones, because those are distracting too, and you got to pay attention. You got to hear the traffic. Don't keep your eyes off the road, because 1 second, if you take your eyes off for like 1 second, you could be in an accident the next moment, and that's not fun. And you have driving upset or angry. I've dealt with this before, where I was driving and I felt upset or angry. If that happens to you and you feel a lot of stress from it, just like with the driving tired, get off the exit, go into a parking lot, and just relax. You know, the road will be there when you get there, or the road will be there when you're ready. And it also drains your body and your energy to drive. So you got to pay attention, and you got and you can't drive angry or upset. How do you know that driving is right for you or me or whatever? Being able to have concentration that you need to stay focused and being able to drive safely on the roads. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of patience to know how to drive a car. And then you have eyesight needs to be okay with or without glasses, meaning if your doctor prescribes you to wear glasses while driving, you've got to wear glasses while driving. You know, um, knowing that the car is not a toy and that it is a real machine. It's not like a video game. I use the example Mario Kart, where you have parts of races where you can jump, and sometimes you'll fall into the water or you'll fall off the cliff or whatever else. And you got to understand that the video game is not real. And you got to know that car is a real thing. Whereas if you tried to do that while driving a car, then then it'll cause real damage and probably loss of life. And you don't want that to happen. So remember that driving in Mario Kart is different than driving in a regular car. Being the correct age to drive, meaning don't be like 11, 12, 13, 14. Be the correct age in your state. I know some places it's like maybe like 16 to get a permit and 17 to get a license. Though I know I could be wrong, but like I said earlier in this disclaimer, look at your state and see what the age is there. Driving education and practice is key. Like you got to practice driving, you know, because that way you know how to deal with driving. And start with short distance driving. Don't go on the interstate. Just learn how to drive. When you first get your license, just practice going short distance and go on the roads. Don't go on the highways unless you really have to. Did you know that you can choose to have a disability or developmental disability designation on your new license in your new ID card? In Florida, you can get the D on your license, and that means that the person has a developmental disability. And this works for people with autism, Down syndrome, and all the other mental disabilities that are out there. And it doesn't cost a lot. And you have the only fees that you really have to pay for is for the county fee and tax, whatever. But you take the form, you print it out, you go to your doctor or therapist or psychiatrist, have them fill it out, and then you bring it to the Department of Motor Vehicles in your state and you can get it, or the licensing plate. There are similar laws like this in Texas with the Samuel Allen law, and then in Iowa there's a law like this. And I actually had the chance to meet someone from Iowa back in June, and he was an athlete for the Special Olympics, and he had a law enforcement encounter with the license and all that. So he went to his state capital and got the law passed in Iowa. And there are several other states where you can get this designation on your license. And there are also stickers that you can put on your car that says there's a person with autism in the vehicle. All right, so we did the road. Now we're up in the air by airplane. And I'm talking about the pros now. Most of the people travel by airplane to get to places, and it's the fastest mode of transportation that there is. And you can go more places on an airplane than you can by car. You can go to more international places like Europe, Asia, Australia, Africa, South America. There's actually there was supposed to be a road that was supposed to connect you from Argentina to Alaska, but unfortunately, there's a part in Panama and Colombia which is not built, so you can't drive all the way down to the tip of South America. But the only mode of transportation is by airplane to get to South America. And it can also get you faster if you have a tight schedule and if you're only spending like a few days or whatever. Now, the cons of traveling on an airplane, you have to go to the airport early, like 2 hours early, or even more. You go through security. You have to wait at the gate. You have to wait to board a plane. You have a small space to sit, where if you're a big person like myself, It's not ideal, and then you might have a layover or two, and then you're limited on carry-on items, and then you're dealing with loud noises like from the plane, or if you have a baby or a young child on the plane and it's crying, and you know that can get into you as well. And I have had that I have had that deal with, but I was able to keep myself entertained and keep myself focused. My tips on flying on airplane: bring snacks, purchase drinks after passing through security, let the airline know that you have a disability because you can get help, whether it's if you can't walk too far, then you let them know, then they can bring you on a wheelchair to the gate and help you get loaded on the airplane first. And then bring stuff to do, like you have a tablet or a cell phone or coloring books, crossword puzzle books, a newspaper to read, a magazine to read. And then some airlines offer onboard entertainment. I know JetBlue has DirecTV and Sirius XM radio. And then some airlines also offer free Wi-Fi, so you can go on the internet while you're flying. And then if you're traveling internationally, like I've said before about with the car, please remember to bring that passport so you can get back into the country afterwards, or you can go into another country. Are you traveling to a national park? Well, we have the America the Beautiful Parks Pass, which is the Access Pass. It's free and valid for life. It's available for U.S. citizens or permanent residents with permanent disabilities. Applicants must provide documentation of permanent disability and residency or citizenship. And you can go on the National Parks website to get your Access Pass. And they also have Senior Pass, which you pay like $80 a one-time fee, and it's good for the rest of your life. You have to be 62 or over, and then other passes too. But I highly recommend getting this because it helps you. There are some places where you can get in for free, or if you're camping, it gives you a discount and it helps you. Now, earlier I spoke about my mission, or mentioned it. Now I'm going to talk about a little more in detail. Mike's mission was created in May of 2019 after doing my very first Uber Eats delivery outside of the state of Florida. And that happened to be in New Jersey. The Facebook group was created on May 30th, 2020, on the 1 year anniversary of my first out of state delivery in New Jersey. Mike's Mission is a group that tries to bring autism awareness, and if you have goals that you want to set, you can go out and get those goals done, and it's like it's a good way of trying to get people to get out there and enjoy this country and all that and travel. And you know, and I'm also trying to complete Uber Eats deliveries in all 50 states. I'm a little halfway there, and as you can see on the map, I haven't updated this map, but for 2022, I have done Mass, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, DC, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Oh, yeah, and Pennsylvania, I think, too. Yeah, Pennsylvania. I've done those states, and and then last year I was able to add on Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Kentucky, West Virginia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico. And then I did Tennessee. And then in the past, I've also done Indiana and Ohio. So, and you can see all the states and the dates. in order of when I did it and when I added the state onto the thing. So you can see Florida, New Jersey, Mass, Connecticut, New York, Ohio, Indiana, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, DC, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Rhode Island, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, West Virginia, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, and we're going to be talking about the Louisiana stop later on in this presentation. So get ready for that. And then here are the cities I've done deliveries in Florida. I don't, this is not going to apply to everyone, but I just wanted to share this. And, all the places I've delivered to in Florida is amazing. I do have a list of all the cities I have done deliveries in the other states, but I just haven't had the chance to put it on here on this slideshow. And you can always ask me for that. All right, so that interview I was talking about is right here. And that's with WGNO, which is a TV station in New Orleans. And I had the chance to be interviewed by Bill Wood, who is a reporter for WGNO. And we're going to share that clip right now with you guys.
Our very own Bill Wood delivers the good news. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Seth. Ready for some Uber Eats breakfast? Well, I've got just the guy who will not let any kind of roadblock, as you said, or a traffic tie-up. Not even a New Orleans pothole is going to get in his way. His name is to deliver your dinner with his job from Uber Eats, and also to set a record across America.
All right, so notes. Well, I got to finish the segment here, and then we'll talk about the notes from the interview.
And there he goes, already out and about in the New Year stuff, delivering. By the way, he used to work at Disney World, so you can see where he put to use that natural charm and charisma, delivering a smile to all of us, don't you think?
Oh, I just love him. And what a goal. He's well on his way, too.
He really is. Over halfway there with his stop here in Louisiana. Loved delivering all those beignets and everything. Oh, so good.
Oh,
but he
yeah.
doesn't dare take a little taste test.
All right, can't do that. All right, thanks, Phil. Don't go anywhere.
So the Chevrolet Equinox that was featured on the video, on the interview, actually belongs to my parents, and they let me use it for the interview, and they let me use it for deliveries in New Mexico, Texas, and Louisiana. My parents also own that RV that you saw in the interview video too. The interview was done on October 26, 2021 in New Orleans, Louisiana. And the interview was aired on WGNO on February 7th, 2022. And the story was also aired on that very same day, actually during the 11 o'clock p.m. newscast on their sister station, WRIC in Richmond, Virginia. And the news anchor there knew me from before when she worked on WFTV down here in Orlando, and aired, or they talked about my story on there. All right, so now we have a podcast, and that's called RV Miles. And RV Miles talked about me too. And this is about Jason and Abby, who talk about RV Miles. And I was featured on that podcast. So I just want to play you a little bit of it. If I hold on, if I can. Oh, I can't. Hold on, guys. I'm so sorry. Um, how do I get it forward? Oh, I'm gonna skip that video, but just know that it's podcast number 214. So you will watch it later. It's on here. Let me try and see what I can do. If I can. Because I don't want you guys hearing the whole. Sorry, guys. But the video is on here, and you can look it up on YouTube. It's called Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta Tips, Winterization, and Best Days to Travel. So you can view that. Um, we were unable to do that on this presentation, but you can go to the 45-minute mark, 45:14, and you can hear their podcast where they talk about me. And it was published on October 27, 2021. And I met Jason and Abby at the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta on October 7th, 2021, when they did their presentation about the national parks for RV life. So I highly recommend you guys going and checking out RV Miles for that presentation. Now you can learn more about Mike's mission at facebook.com/group/Mike D's mission, or you can type in Mike's mission group on Facebook and you can go and join the group. Now, I do love this quote, and it was spoken by Bob Marks, who did presentations at the Florida RV Super Show in Tampa. And he hasn't been doing presentations for like a few years. But I did do a Facebook Live, and I did get the audio, that quote that he said. And I do want to share it with you because it inspires me to travel, and I hope it inspires you to travel too.
The trip you can enjoy today because of the person you are may be a frustratingly unhappy one tomorrow because of the person you have become in the meantime. Go as soon as you can, as far as you can, for as long as you can. That was written by Malcolm Forbes.
Now, I tried finding that quote as an image on Google and all that, and I couldn't. But I was able to get that audio clip for you. And then Munchkin says, "Let's go. Let's go camping. Let's go on the road. Let's travel." You know, and then this picture here, I took the picture of Munchkin with her paw on the road atlas. And I submitted it to Western Mass News, and that's a TV station group in Springfield, Mass. And they featured it on their thing. So the thing is actually courtesy of Western Mass News. But it is a cute photo to end our presentation with. And I thank you so much for coming on. This is my contact info. If you need to reach me, or find me on Facebook, find me on LinkedIn, you know, find me in the group. I'll be there for you, and we can help each other out and all that, all that. And I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation, and I thank you guys so much.